My name is Michael Rhodes, and I'm the proud father of two. So I have two children. My first child is MJ, which is Michael Lance Rhodes Jr., and he's the active one of the family. He's very, very much so animated. He reminds me of a little version of myself, hence the name. And then I have the newest child of mine is Naya Joy Rhodes, and she's 4 months old, and she is literally her name, Joy. She is happy all the time. Even at 3 in the morning, she's happy and excited when we're trying to sleep. But she is definitely a bundle of joy. All right, so the first one, MJ, he was born on December the 23rd. So we literally were preparing for Christmas, but at the same time knowing that we were on the verge of having our first child come into the world. And so we actually went up to the hospital, and the birth was induced. And so we knew it was coming, but even knowing that it was coming, it was the first time for me and my wife to ever, experience this. And so it was nervousness, anticipation, excitement, and a little bit of fear, if you want to be honest, just of the unknown. And when he first came out, seeing that that whole experience was eye-opening. Everything was real that moment. It was all before that, just something that we, I guess in our minds, we're saying, okay, it's going to happen one day. But when a child comes out and you hear that first cry, that first breath, life gets really serious at that moment. And it was a great day, though. Beautiful morning. And it was, to me, that was my early Christmas gift that year. So because of the difference in gender, it's almost like we started all the way over again. Naya was our first child that was a girl, and this is my first time being a girl dad, and so there was a lot of newness, even though it was something that we had already experienced. Because she is a girl, as you said just a second ago, some parents, when they get to the second child, they have a lot less, nervousness, anticipation. And I would say that we have a little less, but because of it being a girl, they're more delicate and they're more, they're soft, and you want to just protect them from hurting themselves, and the older siblings running around, and you want to say, hey, be careful, don't run, don't fall anywhere near this little baby girl, because she's so small and she's so fragile, so to speak. But it's been a great experience. It was still, like you said, new, but it was something that we could say that we were like, oh, it's okay, she'll be fine. We don't have that attitude as I thought we would. What is a father? To me, a father is someone who protects, who provides, who trains, who encourages, who is there through every step of the way. And I hate to go off into what a father is not, but I think our society, there's been shows that come out and say, you are the father, you are the baby's dad. So that puts this concept in our mind that because you were a part of that experience that caused birth, that you're a father. And I would say that couldn't be the farthest thing from true. It's actually just the opposite. That is just the scientific reason why there's a child that comes to the earth. But the fathering begins that day that we talked about, when that child is born. And it also comes before that, when you're taking care of your wife. But it really comes into play when that child comes into the earth. And I think it involves changing diapers. It involves going to dance class, tea parties. It involves t-ball. It involves pictures in school and homework. And I personally take it as my responsibility to be a part of everything. There's some men that I've heard say, oh, that's the woman's job to raise the kids. With me, it's just the opposite. I feel like it's my job to raise my son and my daughter. And my wife is there as well to do her role, but I don't feel like it's her responsibility and I'm just over here working. It's like, no, I work so that I can take care of my children and I can be involved in everything that they have. So my parenting style is, I believe in a child being able to have the flexibility to learn and have the ability to even make mistakes. Because I feel like some of the greatest lessons are learned from mistakes. I'm also an ex-teacher, so I know as a math teacher that sometimes it's good to let the child work the problem and get their answer and work with what they've given you versus going through every step with them and saying, nope, you did that wrong, nope, you did that wrong. And that constant stopping can sometimes discourage the child to even do their own work. So the first thing is let them figure some things out. But on a very, opposite end of the spectrum, if the situation is very, sensitive, meaning if it's driving a car, like, yeah, you're not ready for that yet. Or if it's dealing with certain subjects, if it's a more adult conversation, there's not as much grace and room because I'm having to do that first thing that I talked about a father being, which is protect them. And so when I step into that role, I'm no longer training and watching them figure it out as they explore. I'm preventing them from bumping their head on something that they may not be able to bounce back from. But I'm definitely not the strict parent that just sits around and fusses. I love my children. I love on my children. They hug me every day. They know daddy loves them. I tell them verbally that I love them. And I guess the old school parents, they even, some of them didn't even say they love you. They were so mean, they would just, get over there, sit down, do what I said. And I don't take that style. Mine is, come here, I love you, and I'll explain to you some things that help you understand why daddy has to do things. You're gonna get a whooping, you're gonna get in trouble. There's gonna be some pop-pops, as they call it. But at the end of the day, it's because I'm trying to train you to go in a certain direction. Me and my father did not have a great relationship. He and my mom did not stay married, so they got a divorce when I was very young. And so I did not really have the interaction of him being in the home. I used to go to stay with him for some summers and have a week or two at a time that I would spend with him. So I knew who my father was, but the relationship aspect was not there. I did have the blessing of having my stepfather, Walter Henderson, who in many ways stood in the gap and was my father, and exactly what we talked about earlier. Just because you're a part of the process that produces the child doesn't mean that you're gonna father the child. For whatever circumstances, sometimes that changes. My stepdad, Walter, he stepped in and fathered me all the way from age 11 into adulthood and walked me through a lot of those things. But it did caused me to really make sure that was something that was a focus for me when I became a father. I told myself, I have to be better. I have to give my son, my daughter a better experience. I have to fight to be in the home, fight to make sure that I'm a part of all these things. As you heard me saying earlier, I'm in everything. I'm at every doctor's appointment. I'm at every school function, at every t-ball game. I coach my son's t-ball game, his basketball team. I'm in everything because I want him to know that his father is there. Because it did cause me to realize when I went through going through life without a father those first few years, how much of a hole it leaves if you're not there. And so I vowed to myself to make sure that I didn't do that. Some of my role models are for fathering. Starts with my uncle. My Uncle Robert Earl, he's passed away, and my Uncle Peter. But my Uncle Robert Earl was the life of the party. He was very energetic. He brought the party with him, literally. When he showed up, we knew we were about to have a good time. And my Uncle Robert would dance, and he loved music, and he was very loving. Now, he was drunk most of the time, but that's part of it. He loved his family. But I learned how to, express myself in many ways and to love on my family because, that's what he did. And then my Uncle Peter, which I have two uncles. My other Uncle Peter, he was the hard-working man of the family. He gave me one of my first jobs, as a young man and showed me the way. He said, look, you get out here and you get these pallets, you put them on the back of this truck and you can earn some money. And, we would do that for an entire summer and I made money and saw how to hustle. And so I learned a lot of work ethic from my Uncle Peter. And then, of course, my stepfather, Walter Henderson. he showed me as well the way of being respectful to a woman, of how to have restraint, how to have power and control of that power, and then how to always look out for your family and protect your family financially and physically. And I don't want to give my father a bad rep to say he didn't do anything. I saw him as well. He was very successful. He gave me goals, even from a distance, to shoot for, of what life could be like, because he lived a very luxurious life and a very successful business life. And it gave me an aspiration that, one day, I can have like him, a white picket fence or a 2-story house, or, a nice place to call home. And I've been lucky and blessed to be able to do some of those things because of the aspirations that he set forth. I believe in the motto, it takes a village. Our village is literally the people that we entrust on a daily basis with our children. So I have to start with my mom, her mom, my father and her father, and our biological and step parents. They're all a part of our village. My sisters and my family, all of them help at some point raising and rearing and pouring into, and my family is very much so a collective unit, and we do a lot of things together. So it's nothing for us on a Sunday for all of us to be together, and so our children are passed literally from lap to lap to lap to lap, and everyone is talking and loving on and sharing with. And our family is also very much so in a family of faith, and so the church plays a role in even being a part of our village, and that includes a Sunday school teacher. Right now he's in Vacation Bible School, so the Vacation Bible School teacher, Miss Kirsten Reed, she is part of the village. My son's school teacher is a part of our village. And there's anybody who cares about our child's well-being, and we can trust enough to share that rearing responsibility, they make up our village. And it includes even these neighbors that we have. I mean, if our child runs down the street and he's playing with someone's kid, our neighbors will let us know MJ was, doing really good, or they'll even let us know MJ was being a little, unruly, and that's part of our village, and we take care of it. And so that's, to me, the village that we use to make up our family unit. So the concept to me is, it's not that you should be friends with your children, it's that you should be friendly to your children. You want your children to know that talking to you is a safe place. You want them to feel some of the aspects of friendship, which are someone that I can lean on, someone that I can talk to, someone that won't turn their back on me. Because sometimes they don't associate that with parents. And so as you show them that you're friendly, then it gives them a safe place to come. But where this gets a little tricky is if the parent starts to turn around and confide in their children, and they become their children's, go-to. They go to their children and tell them all their gossip, and instead of going up with the information, they're going down to the information. And what causes a problem there is, at some point, the child loses reverence and respect for that parent. And so it's important, as we are friendly to our children, that we don't ever get on the level with them that they feel like they can just say anything and do anything. As my mama used to say, I'm still your mama, and if I brought you into this world, I'll take you out. I mean, of course, we don't want to take our children out of the world, but the point we're making is you have to always remember who I am. I'm your father. I'm not just your friend on the street. I'm not just one of the kids from the neighborhood. I'm your father, and there's a certain level of respect that comes with that. But I'm also the kind of father that if you have a bad day and you need someone to talk to, I'm the easiest person to come to. And that's what we have to make sure we walk the line of, is being friendly, but not necessarily being our children's friend. The thing that I feel like happens is there's an absence of that family unit giving that validation and support. And so when you as a father don't validate your son, or you don't validate your daughter in the home, they look for validation elsewhere. And so if you haven't told your son, I'm proud of you, you're doing a good job, I'm looking at how you're making these grades, I'm proud of you, you're really carrying the name of the family on in a positive way. When you don't say those things and you don't affirm your children, then now he's looking for one of his friends to do so. And he wants his peers to tell him how great he is, or he wants the girls to notice how he's doing something. He's trying to appease them and get affirmation from them. And I'm not saying that he will never gain anything from there, but if you're on empty when you go out to get filled, you're in trouble. And it's especially even, my daughter is only 4 months old, but as I'm looking towards the future, you, as a man, I remember you could tell girls that were on empty when they came to school or when they came to the social events, because they needed something. And I want to be the type of father that my children don't leave this house on empty. They're gonna know that they're loved. They're gonna know my daughter's gonna know she's beautiful. She's gonna know that her daddy loves her and he's gonna take care of her. So she's not going out there looking for a man she's not looking for a man to take care of her or looking for a man to tell her she's beautiful. She's already heard that so many times from her mom and her dad. And so we're gonna fill them up. Their tank's gonna be almost at full. So when they get out there, the little likes that they get on social media, they will mean something, but they'll never mean more than what we put into them here in this house. And so to me, that's where it's gonna have to start. Me and my wife, we're gonna be filling their tanks, we're gonna be loving on them, and we're gonna make sure they know that the approval of their parents is far above that of their friends or social media. I've always had the mindset as a person that has, as you call, the gift of leadership. When you see that you're able to help others, I don't want to ever do all of this on the away game and don't take care of the home team. And so to me, you go out on the road and you're helping all these young people, because I do a lot of volunteer work with youth. I go to the middle schools and I talk to them about, financial things. I go to talk to the youth at the church, and I'm trying to talk to them about making good choices. But to do all of those things and then my children go without something, that would be a crime to me. And so what I do is I make sure I pour into my children at home. And so as I'm helping other kids with building their financial legacy with their parents and all the other things, I go back and I talk to my son about investing. He has his own investment account already, and he's already been investing. And he checks in every once in a while and says, how much money have I made, Dad? And so I'm teaching him to start now to build money and future wealth for him and his family. He even asked me last night, will I have children like you? And I said, yeah, one day you will. That makes me a pawpaw. He was like, when is that gonna happen? I said, don't you worry about that. You're 6 years old. We don't even need to talk about that. But I'm trying to get him to think about the future now and about what his responsibility will be to take care of his children and the wealth knowledge that he has to pass on. And the same thing on my daughter. She has a savings account as well. But the concept is not able to be necessarily taught at 4 months old. But I do want her at some point to learn the importance of preparing for the future. And as I lead others, I always come back home and lead mine. So my son MJ plays, his first instrument that he played was the drums. And I'll try to get you some footage of that, because he started doing that at the age of, I think, 1 year old, maybe going on 2. Being around me and having so many rehearsals and church services, he just gravitated to grab some sticks, and he actually stayed on beat, even as a 1 year old going into, to getting ready to turn 2. And it was amazing. I never really had taught him anything. He just naturally picked it up. And even to this day, he still plays the drums at church and loves to do music. Naya, even at 4 months old, is already, singing and making notes come out of her mouth, and it's like, wow, how did that happen? And my son as well loves music and sings as well. So they're I guess by just osmosis, they're picking up on a lot of this music that we have in our family.
So do you think music will be a big part of the kid's life?
I believe it will, but it wasn't something that we pushed or expected. We knew it was possible because my wife sings and she is also a percussionist. Then I play drums, and I'm also a piano player, and I understand, music enough, and we're always singing. So we knew it was very possible with all this music going on around my family and her family that our children would pick up on music. But we never in our minds wanted to say, oh, because you're our children, you have to do this. But we're just blessed to see that, so far, MJ has already gravitated towards and loves to sing and play the drums already. He's been doing that since he was little. So my children's education and personal development to me is the primary thing for us in this season. There's not a cost or a limit on what we will invest into our children's exposure and education. We are big about reading. We're big about exposing them to see things, experience things, go places. Both of my children have passports. They are completely immersed into learning, and they're going to be flying out here in a week or so to Mexico, to see other countries and see how other people do things, and to have those conversations. Because I feel like sometimes the things that our children are missing is not that they don't understand, it's just they don't have enough exposure. They're not unlearned from a standpoint that they're not smart enough to keep up with kids from other classes or from other demographics, but they just haven't had the exposure. And so I want to make sure our children have that exposure.
What do you think are some of the biggest challenges that Black fathers have, today raising kids?
Oh man, that's a very good question. Some of the challenges of raising a child as a Black father is you want to make sure that your children are not a stereotype. You want to make sure that they don't fit into what the world expects. You almost want to push them a little harder to make sure that they go further than what people expect. And so some of the challenges is not pushing them too far. I'll give you another challenge that really me and some of my friends have talked about is I didn't come up very, wealthy. I didn't come up having a lot. And some of those experiences, even though they weren't good, they made me work hard, they made me tough. And so one of the challenges and problems that I feel like I'm facing, and some of my friends are also discussing, is you want to give them an appreciation for what they have. And sometimes having it doesn't make you appreciate it. It's when you didn't have it that makes you appreciate it. And so I'm really doing the best that I can on teaching my son that just because you have lots of toys and you go lots of places and eating and food and things like that are never a problem for you, doesn't mean that every child experiences that. I want you to know, son, that I didn't experience that. I remember times where we didn't get to go out to eat like you do. I didn't even know about Texas Roadhouse till I got, in high school. That boy's been there to eat those rolls. I don't know how many times. He requests them sometimes, but it just shows you that sometimes being in a position of being blessed, you have to also make sure that you don't soften your children. You have to make sure you teach and make sure they're experiencing certain things. And then you also have to prepare them for a world that doesn't always value their skin color. And you have to talk to them about what that looks like, how to respond if there's someone that looks at you a certain way or they don't want to play with you. We're in a neighborhood or we're on a vacation where there's not a lot of people that look like you. And so we have to talk through what it looks like if everyone doesn't want or accept you for who you are, and how to still rise above and be respectful. Being a father has tremendously given me a path, a much more focused life, because I'm not doing it for me anymore. So I had a reason, and the reason was myself and my family and my wife. And that's good, but children bring about another reason to get things right, another reason to really focus, another reason to get on to the house, after the event is over with, to make sure you get home to those kids because they're dependent on you, they need you. It gives you another reason to push to be more successful even in your business because you want to make sure that they have the things that they need. And so my children have pushed me and caused me to be more excellent in the way I approach life and the way I do things and the things that I strive to be. The thing I would say to fathers, young black fathers, is you're so valuable, you're needed, your voice, your presence makes all the difference. Don't give up, don't stop, don't stop trying. If there's some challenges that are keeping you from being able to be as active and involved as you want to, don't just say, well, just forget it. Work twice as hard to get to your children if you're not in the same home with them. And if you are in the home with them, make sure that you are involved in everything. There's so much value that you bring by what you say, the way you lead, the example, the way you love on your wife, the way you treat your daughter. All of those things are being constantly watched. And one day your children will be, in many ways, a mimic of, just another version of you. And you want to make sure that the person that you are today represents what you want them to be in the future. I want my children to remember that I loved them and I was there. That I loved them and I was at everything that they wanted me to be at, and they can't think of many times that they can, look out in the audience or look to the left or right and didn't see their father, there supporting and being willing to, be a happy, involved parent.
So, Chris, this is not on here.
Okay.
Okay, now you have a 4-month-old.
Yeah.
Okay. So, a boy and a girl.
Yes.
So, is this it?
This is it. I will say this. Now, I love parenting and I love being a father, and I feel like it's a great thing. But for me and my family, we decided after 2 that our family was exactly where we wanted it to be. If we had had a boy, we may have had the conversation about let's try again for a girl. But once we had our girl, it was official. Our Rhodes family of 4 was the complete package, and we just wanted to stop there. And we're going to love on our children and even be willing to help anybody with raising theirs, but we don't want any more to come through this family. First of all, I want to thank JayDeeMullens for allowing me to even have this opportunity to be here to talk about such an important topic. I want to thank my stepfather, Walter Henderson, also known as Sir. Thank you for being the father that stood in the gap. And I want to also thank my father, who's no longer here, Lanny Rhodes, for allowing the moment to happen for you to be in my life, the times that you were. I want to also thank my uncle, Robert and Peter. Appreciate them. And my mom, I know it's a Father's Day, but I have to say this, my mom sometimes stood in the role as a father when she needed to as well. And so I thank her for that. And behind every man that's trying to be a father is a strong woman. And so I thank my wife, Latoya Rhodes, for being a support to me, allowing me to be the father that leads this family and takes the role very seriously. And she pushes me to be the best man that I can be. And to my children, your daddy loves you. Your daddy loves you from the bottom of his heart. You mean the world to me, and there's nothing that I wouldn't do to protect you, to provide for you, to train you, to make sure you experience things in life. I want you to have not just the life that I have, but the life that's better than the life that I have. And I want you to be examples to your children. And I love you and look forward to many, many more years with you.